Hello, my name is Peter Parfitt and welcome to the New Brick Workshop. Now I thought I'd give you a very quick reminder in this short video about my method of applying Osmo. And it's really important to me because this is what works best for me. Now other people do it different ways and they have success, but this is my technique. Now I've made another batch of 4 of the trays, which you may have seen me making in one of my videos where I talked about jig work. Anyway, I always like to use Osmo PolyX, and this is the 3011 clear. So because I'm near the bottom of this tin, I've decanted what was the majority of the Osmo into this container, but I've still got some drips in this tin, so I'm going to use the brush straight into the tin. And I'm starting by pushing the Osmo into the awkward places, the corners and the joints. And the reason for that is that if there's a slight flaw in any of my joints, the Osmo will flow in there and help to provide a seal. In this case, it will be a moisture-proof seal or waterproof seal because this is a tray. And anyway, so I'm applying this fairly liberally with the brush, but I'm not trying to brush it in all over. I'm just getting the Osmo onto the surface. There are some places where the wood is quite absorbent, like these handles, so I'll use the brush there to get a reasonable amount on. And here. So when I've applied that PolyX with a brush, and it needn't be covering the whole surface, it's just sort of random, I then use one of these non-abrasive scouring pads. Well, I suppose scouring is the wrong word if it's non-abrasive, but you know what I mean. They're white generally. You can get them from Axminster, you can get them from the internet, all over the place. And I then use this with some Osmo on it to then spread it all over the surface. And I'm not trying to put too much on. I'm trying to just wet the surface with the Osmo. Maybe I should describe it as dampening the surface with the Osmo so that it covers everywhere, but it's not leaving pools or big thick layers of it. So that's those inner surfaces, and then the outer surfaces. And keep an eye on it, making sure you've got enough oil on the non-abrasive scouring pad, and make sure you don't miss anything. And if in doubt, apply a bit more of the Osmo to keep everything lubricated. And remember, you shouldn't expect to see a real shine at this stage. What we're doing is putting the first really important sealing coat on. Now, if you're really interested in making trays like this, you've got to make yourself a jig. And I can't remember where or how long ago the video is that I told you how to make trays like this. You'll have to look it up. Right, so that's the non-abrasive scourer. Now my lint-free cloth to wipe off any excess, ending up going with the grain of any wood. And this is important to go with the grain in case there's any form of streak. If you've got a very small streak, going with the grain will help to disguise it. This is such a lovely technique because it's very quick and easy, and also the Osmo dries quickly between coats. The first coat takes longer to dry than the subsequent coats. Don't ask me why, but that's just the way it is. I suspect it's because once you've got one coat on, the subsequent layers are going to be even thinner. So there's that. I've now got a dust-free thing to put it on. I'm going to put it on there, and I just hold that down whilst I get rid of any finger marks I might have left. And you can see how quick and easy this is. It's not a hugely complicated process. And at the very end, just get rid of those last couple of finger marks, and I can now go on to my final one. Now I've already made a start on these two here, and they've both had one coat or one layer of Osmo. I ought to just own up that when I'm making something like this, before I glue it up, I put a thin layer of Osmo on, and then I would cut the various bits and pieces for the joints, the rebate for the bottom, and also the mitered ends, so that having let that Osmo to dry, I then cut those joints, and therefore there's no Osmo going into where I want to glue. I then glue it up, and because I've put that thin coat of Osmo on at the very beginning, I'm no longer risking staining the wood with the excess glue. It comes off very easily. Anyway, back to where we are now. So I've given these their initial coat after the assembly. And I've got my little standoff things here so they can sit on the bench to dry. Now the reason I apply the Osmo like this is based on my experience doing French polishing. And I always found that my best results with French polishing is when I built up lots of very thin layers, one on top of the other. And I had an experiment with Osmo doing the same technique, a thin layer, wiped off with a lint-free cloth, allow it to dry, and then another thin layer, and so on. And I found this gave a really pleasing shiny surface, not over shiny. This is clear gloss, this 3011, but it gave a deep shine. But then on top of that, it was also more robust. And on my dining room table, which I'll endeavour to show a picture of now, I've found that technique has really protected the table, and it's had all sorts of things, hot mugs of tea, wine spilt on it, children with their crayons and paint boxes, and I've never had to recoat it, just wipe it off with a damp cloth. Anyway, back to this. That's what I'm doing now, and when I've finished, I'll show you the result. Well, I've just got one more coat of Osmo to put on this batch of trays, but I thought I'd just show you a couple of trays I've made already. And when you apply Osmo, if you use the technique that I've just done, you can get the degree of sheen with this 3011 clear gloss to be just as you like it. Now here is a tray similar to those which I made a while ago, and it's not bright shiny, it's just right, it's subtle, I think. Anyway, that's that one. This has been in use for over a year. I carry hot mugs of tea on it, glasses of wine, all sorts, and it's as good now as it was when I made it. And here's another tray where I wanted the finish to be slightly shinier. Same technique, I just applied an extra coat very carefully. And this tray has been around for a long time and used quite a lot. And you can see it's in pretty good order. Now the non-abrasive pad I've been talking about, I get from Axminster. It's just over a couple of pounds per sheet, and I'll put the detail here so you can find it yourself. If anyone would like a copy of the CNC files that I've used to create my tray, this is a sort of template for the routing of the ends, and I'm happy to provide that free of charge. But you will be on your own learning how to use it. Anyway, I hope all that's helped. Osmo 3011, brilliant. Many thanks for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.